Accidentally left the mic monitoring on so I could hear myself, which means you probably just heard me say welcome, welcome, welcome in like a demonic double voice. Unless the monitoring doesn't go through, in which case maybe that's good. AS3LQ, how you doing, mate? Thanks for coming in early. 3:30 in the morning in Norway. Eesh. Well, thanks for staying up. You always seem to be... I don't think my stream times like super convenient for you, so appreciate it. No mic filter means you hear me slurping coffee. I should back away from the mic. Excellent. Okay. So, I want to spring swap my Zilents and finish off this Discipad build. So I'll do this first, and then we'll get onto the soldering tasks. Sleep schedule is scuffed. Yeah, the life of tech enthusiasts. All right. I should probably get something to put all the keycaps in. Or I can just scatter them on my desk. Excited for the Discipad? Yeah, I got 4 of them for myself and a couple of friends just because I wanted to build some because they're enjoyable to build, but also because the Mysterium that I'm going to be building, this will it's a house for my Boba Fett numpad. This keyboard is always so full of Doritos every time I take the keycaps off. You're probably like, oh, what is he doing to those keycaps? I've just found that doesn't really, you just hammer through it. There's no harm. As long as you're not actually slamming it down. Depends how particular you are about your brass plate, I suppose. Probably wouldn't do this on a $1,000 keyboard. Oh, Sunday morning Butterfingers. What's up, Project Zero? Oh, I should probably actually tell people that I'm live, hey? Send someone a DM. Cool. Found out the brand of my knife? Oof. Tell me more. Isham Bladeworks. Nice. Let me know if the color grading on the mic is on the camera is too intense. Keep trying to adjust it every stream. I feel like when I'm zoomed in, it's too dark, but when I'm zoomed out, I don't know if the contrast is right. Your daily clack for me? Live July 22nd already. What is it? What's going live? Focusing so much on my Oh, right. Okay, cool. Oh, go. Hold on. Scuffed your sleep schedule. Scuffed your sleep schedule up since you've been focusing so much on your GMK set lately. You got a group by date? Nice. Priced up and running? No. Waiting. All right. Cool. That was the, like the dark black and red set, right? Cool stuff, man. I'm wondering if I should do one row at a time because this is a floating PCB. It's just hanging there by the switch legs. And I'm not spring swapping the heavy ones. We'll go piece by piece. GMK Evil Dolch. Nice. Face reflection. Man, there's so much oil from the last time I spring lubed. Tissue? Thank you, assistant. I'll grab this out just because I don't want to get oils all over the desk mat. Suppose I could just like put them back together as I'm going, couldn't I? Not doing lubing, so it doesn't really matter. Ah, thank you for the follow, Golf Boy Nico. I wonder if filming Zilents makes them quieter. Maybe I should get some films out and give that a try. Give me a moment. All right. I haven't actually tried this before. I wouldn't imagine that filming them would make a huge difference, but maybe? Whoa, okay. Actually, hold on. I don't know if you can hear that, but it's quieter. All right, I guess I'm filming my Zilents now. Although, actually, hold on. That's with a different spring. Yeah, okay, cool. They're a little bit quieter. That's interesting. I don't think it's 0.5. Is 0.5 like the super thick stuff? I thought like 0.15 was the normal size, and then 0.23 is thick, right? God, films can be so frustratingly annoying. What's up, Niv180? Thanks for dropping by. I can turn on the puppy camera because she's decided to join us. The cat, however, is locked in the room because she's been attacking the dog this morning. She's been nasty. Oh, you can probably hear the dog in the background, right? Just going crazy. I don't know if anybody else here has dogs or if they play fight with their dogs, but Kira likes a good play fight. I've got 2 springs intertwined. Oof. Treat out of stocko? I'm sure Hales has probably already fixed that. I'll have to adjust the hydrate and other similar type chat rewards so they're a little less frequent. I found other people have had theirs set to like 1500. Sounds a bit more reasonable. Less likely I'll get 7 in a row. Keep realizing I'm putting my hands too far down. Like off camera. That's 3. Oh my god. Well, lesson learned, don't put springs in a big bucket together. How is everybody's Sunday morning, Saturday evening going? Anything eventful? Perhaps having a nice potato day? No, Kira. Oh, the music's very quiet. These springs might be, oh, I thought they might be a lost cause, but they've just decided to all free themselves of their own volition. You need some treats this Sunday? I've got Maltesers in the cupboard. And a Twix. Yeah, messy workstation's no good, Jizdonka. Clutter is okay as long as it's organized. Oop, almost forgot the film. Niv 180 sucks seeing all these nice boards coming out and not having money. There's always something better and cheaper coming out later. That is 100% an accurate statement. I have just sold out of my group buy on the heavy metal keyboard. I've sold my HHKB up there that's getting picked up this afternoon. What else? I had a Discipline kit coming that I've sold, and the person who bought it is now going to commission me to build it, so that's awesome. I get to do the fun part without any of the spending. I was going to get in on the KBD fans Maya, but I think instead I've decided to maybe possibly collaborate with some other Australian makers and maybe design our own keyboard and save my money to prototype that. Because every time I get into a group buy, I'm like, I just lose interest before the shipping date. Well, that didn't work. The stem got stuck inside. Oh, that's why. Was too busy paying attention to the conversation. Buy a board from me. Oh, you mean if I designed one? Why, thank you. Appreciate that. Yes, we only started talking about the idea yesterday. We're going to have a conversation this afternoon about the specifics. But I'm pretty excited to cook something up. Oh my god, what's wrong with this one? Misseated leaf. Ugh. I only ever seem to have this problem with my Zilents, where the leaf comes out. Now the question is whether or not that leaf is bent, which it probably is. The Elon keyboard. We can't put someone's face on a keycap. Especially not someone that famous, who's still alive. I mean, you could do it. You could just get one keycap printed. But that's not something I can help you with. That you just do it. You just go get a keycap printed. Yeah, bent leaf. Maybe I can fix it. Have you looked at the elongate Niv 180? The layout I was thinking about designing was basically an elongate, but with the F row num row, if that makes sense. So the way the F row is spaced out, 1, 2, 3, 4 space 5, 6, 7, 8 space, do that, but it's the num row. So it looks like a full 1800, but just shrunk down, unlike the elongate that has the top cut off, basically. I think you'd maintain like more functionality, appeal to a wider base of prosumers, like simulation gamers and developers and other people that use the function row. Because I like the idea of the elongate. I just, yeah, like a staggered num row. Or like a spaced num row, I guess. Because the dedicated numpad's good for data entry and things like that, but it's having no dedicated num row makes gaming really kind of awkward. You have to make huge adjustments to get to like be comfortable gaming again. Hey, Kira, none of that. The one with the busted leaf, unfortunately, it's very loud now, even if it does work. I'll have to dig out a spare. Gateron Robin custom switch. Yeah, isn't that on drop at the moment? I think the Robin switch is up on drop.com at the moment. Did I grabbed the wrong thing. I meant to go for a switch film and I grabbed a spring instead. Having a bad brain Sunday. Gateron black recolored. Interesting. So just a heavy Gateron, basically. I'm doing well today, Butada. Thank you very much. Alright, now I have to find a spare to replace the one that's busted. Well, give me 1 second. Well, it turns out my spare Zilents are already in my partner's keyboard, so I guess I'll just, hey, I'll throw in a box royal for lols. Somewhere weird like the escape. Wow, they're way, way more silent. Like, significantly more silent. Okay, so the solution to the stock crunchy AF Zilent is to spring swap it and film it. I've just discovered. What's my opinion on the Fjell? I think that, what am I doing with my space here? My opinion on the Fjell. I think that it's very expensive for what it is. I remember looking at it and just feeling like it looked really, 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 really simple. And I don't know, like, I'm a kind of eccentric person. If I'm gonna buy something that's like quite expensive or quite more expensive than alternative options, I kind of want it to say something to me other than I am a keyboard. You know what I can do? I can throw a couple of keycaps on and just give you an idea of how much quieter this is. Huh, interesting. So, get this. Okay, so these two are 45 grams TX spring swapped with films. These two are unfilmed stock, both all lubed with the same lube, and this is a box royal. Box royal, so that's like hard press, soft press, regular Zilent, with soft press. Go away, autofocus box. So, regular Zilent. And then the modded ones. Why is that one louder? It's like it's no longer softening the bottom out. So obviously the spring plays some significant component in that. So that's interesting. I'm curious why one of them sounds quite a bit more poppy than the other. KBD 67 is a good option. You can get the KBD 8X Mark II, whatever it is. That one's probably a better option. Harder to get your hands on though. Yeah, that's super weird. One of the ones I modded is just like way clackier than the other one. Makes me wonder whether I want to keep going. Do not want to develop inconsistencies in sound. Oh, this one's getting deflection, and the other one is not. Alright, so that one was the odd one out. Cool, good to know. Which one looks pretty nice? Oh, the NK61, yeah. I'm really keen for the NK65 entry. I feel like for the price, it's just too hard to beat. Cool. Q. Someone who's not an enthusiast noticed the difference between different mounts. That's a really good question. I think if you're already at the point where you're going to be building a custom keyboard, you're probably someone who's already at least paying some semblance of attention to things like the crunch of your stabilizer bar and things like that. And if you're already paying attention to things like the crunch of your stabilizer bar, you will notice that, I think you'll notice that some areas of your keyboard are much clackier than others, and that's the downside of a straight tray mount. Is you'll have some keys that are deep and some keys that are significantly clacky, and while you're typing, you'll just hear this clack, 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 and I think that's the first thing that people notice. And then I feel like that's almost that's the red pill that forces you down the rabbit hole. But it is true that you could totally not notice and just be happy with anything, really. It's all preference. Depends how far down the rabbit hole you want to go. That's basically it. Thanks, Tajlevia. Tajleva? I think that's a name I'm going to butcher several more times before I get it right. I was thinking that Hale's converted to a tier 1 sub? I didn't get any alerts up. Cool, thanks alert box. Thanks, Hales. No, Kira, no crying today. Come on, girl. She's so lonely, she wants to go to the park. When we're done. It is a nice day to go to the park, I'll tell you that much. You're such a sook today, Kira. Kira, come on. Oh, this one's clicky. I swear Zilents are the hardest switches to mod and not, like, completely warp the sound. Like, hear that? That's silent? What? When you were not streaming and sitting at your desk as Kira started demanding treats. And then she always did that. No, she was always already doing that. I was about to give up on those springs and then they all just decided to fall apart on their own. I can hear the cat in the background having a little sook because she wants to come out. But last stream and this morning, she kept attacking the dog. Can't have any of that. But I've also never really heard her cry this much before, so I might actually go and let her out, see if she'll behave. Cyber Voyager? Oosh. That's the keycap set, or is that a Keeb? Oh, that sounds like a Keeb if you said you can't wait to build something. What is Cyber Voyager? Ah, nice. Space 65. Yeah, cool. Nice. Ah, what the hell? Never have I ever had issues like this. It's only Zilents that ever seem to, like, complain. I think that the leaf is particularly... Yeah, it is. The leaf on these is particularly loose. And really just, it likes to jump out of its home and be like, I want to be free! Give me a second, I'm gonna let the cat out. Alright, well the cat is free. She can join us if she wants to, but I don't think she will. Ah, battery number 1 on the light. Ah, Neutralize got an emote as well. Nice. Come on, Kira, none of that today. Oh, no, that's it. Cat and dog aren't doing it. Far out. Cat and the dog normally get along perfectly fine. Today they just won't have any bar of it. My favorite... What's my favorite switch or switches? Based Kent? I think it depends. I really enjoy GAT black inks for linears. For tactiles, I'm a bit torn. For a long time I was really a massive fan of Zelios tactiles. But after trying Holy Pandas, I feel like the sharpness of Zelios is just a bit too much. Kind of gets in the way of your typing. Especially if you go with a heavier one. The low-key Keeb cost several hundred. Not 7, several. I think cases and plates from low-key go for like 300 without a PCB, depending on what the layout is and how common it is and stuff like that. Anywhere from 300 to 400, I understand it to be. $400 with the PCB, I think, though. Mine cost me a little bit less, though, because I bought mine in 2000 and like early 2019. Maybe it was 2018. It was very early when Tam had just started doing the cases. Like, he just started posting images on the Facebook group. I think his I don't think he even had an Instagram yet at that point. So this is technically a version 1. If you've noticed, I don't know if you have noticed, but all of the new low-key keyboards have a much smaller bezel. This is like the thick bezel V1 that he only made for a little while. Half the stream is just me trying to untangle spring orgies. Oh, thank you for the follow. No one ask? You get a heart, everybody does. Hope you're having a good Sunday or Saturday, depending on where you are. I'm just very slowly going through my Zilents and respringing them. And filming them. I didn't really plan on filming them, but it seems to make an improvement on the sound quite a lot. Well, the sound, or lack thereof, makes the sound less. Hello, Label Party. Label Party. Good morning, good afternoon, and good night. What do I use for an overhead cam, or how do I mount it? I use a DSLR with a thread adapter and a 2-ball swivel joint threaded onto that adapter, attached to a microphone stand at maximum raise, extended out over the desk. It is super budget. The camera is the most expensive part, obviously, but the rig was, you know, $30 to set up. It's not an ideal rig. It requires some fandangling every time I go live to like get everything centered, and every time I touch the camera, things can end up a bit distorted. But it does the job well for what I paid, and was very easy and quick to put together. The cat camera that I use, I can turn on my cat camera because it's actually my phone being streamed to my computer, and I can show you what my what the setup looks like, if you like. I don't mind doing that. little behind the scenes, if you like. Label the party, you asked what I'm doing. I'm spring swapping my 67 gram Zilents with 45 gram TX springs. Not the weight I would have chosen, but they were the only ones available at the time. I'm doing it because the Zilent springs are crunchy AF. And I'm filming the switches at the same time because it seems to make the makes them even quieter. Now, this does not make them a more silent switch. It actually, in my opinion, makes them clacky. It kind of removes the muted bottom out, but without it being too loud. So I think doing this mod, it gives you a, I wouldn't call it necessarily silent, but it gives you a muted tactile. And as I was saying earlier on the stream, the tactility of Zilio switches is so sharp that putting in a 45 gram spring doesn't change much, just because the resistance to actuate is so sharp anyway. So it doesn't even really feel like a 45 gram spring to me. If anything, the major difference is that it makes it easier to pass the tactile bump. And then after I'm done with that, after I'm done with these, I might finish building that Discipad over there. And then, I don't know, maybe I'll stream some Valorant today. Ranked is out. I am not very good, as the ranking system has deemed. Hello Shogun 2020, how are you today? Thanks for stopping by. Downside to having pets and doing Switch modding is you have to be really careful not to get pet hair inside your Switch. I swear every single time I open one, there's random cat hair floating off my finger. Ah, you lurk all my streams, do you, Shogun? I am spring swapping and filming my Zilents and then building a Discipad. These springs have become best friends and don't want to part ways. There we go. What's the advantages of spring swapping, you ask? I'm doing it because I need to harvest the springs out of it for a client who ordered the DIY Otemu top and bottom housing and the silent stem and everything, but forgot to order springs. Or better yet, I forgot to mention that they need to order springs. So I already had these 45 gram TX springs here to do this swap, so I'm doing it now for that reason. But I also wanted to see how Zilents perform with a lighter spring and with a different spring, because the stock ones are loud, like really loud. So to me, the advantages of spring swapping a Zilent is to make them even quieter. And also to reduce the, I guess, harshness of the tactile bump. Because Zelios do have a very harsh tactile bump. Someone asked before what my favorite tactile was, and I said I used to be a massive fan of Zelios tactiles. I still am a big fan of their tactiles. But I'm finding more and more now that tactile is the class of Switch that for me varies the most in what I like. Holy Pandas, great because they're smooth. Zelios, great because they're snappy. Box Royals, great because they're actually tactile. They're the closest thing to an Alps. But they're also loud and inconsistent. So it depends. I like Box Royals because they're the closest things to Alps. I like Zilents, or I like Zelios because they have the sharpest bump. And I like Holy Pandas because they're smooth. I find that stock Zilents, at least, tend to get in the way of my typing speed though, just because of how sharp the bump is. Hey, Kimchi Jody Boy, thank you very much. These Tangies? I would not actually be able to tell you, honestly. I'm guessing they're from the group buy. Because they were from Evan Hong, and he had bulk quantity, so I'm guessing from the group buy. A Discipad? This is a Discipad. It is a disciplined numpad because you should be disciplined to build it. Because you have to do all of those diodes and the reset switches and everything yourself. Yeah, I actually have 2 sets of GMK Boba Fett. Don't ask me why. GMK Boba Fett. And GMK Boba Fett. Because I love Star Wars. Give me a sec. Let me chuck my cat cam on. I've never moved the cat cam before, but I'm just gonna share something with you today. Trying to unlock my camera so I can see what the hell it sees. Alright. Cool, so I couldn't actually like see chat or anything while I was walking around the house, obviously. But there you go. And it's super slideshow. Yeah, my apologies about that. It works fine when the cat's like sleeping there, but as soon as you start moving it, it's like... But yes, Star Wars tattoos, and I'm actually going in tomorrow to get a half-sleeve Star Wars tattoo tomorrow, which is going to be awesome. Now, was I halfway through taking this one apart? Yes, I was. The funny thing is despite having all that Star Wars stuff, one of those Boba Fett GMK sets is not mine. It's from a client. I've already built their Rama where the rest of the keycaps are, and this is, that one's theirs, so... Kane_Melbourne on Instagram. Works out of a shop in North Melbourne. Does Zelda tattoos, comic book tattoos. He's done Sasuke from Naruto. He's done a bunch of like anime style custom sleeves and things like that. But if you check out Kane_Melbourne, KANE_Melbourne on Instagram, that's who's going to be doing the sleeve for me. I went in last Monday to design the different elements we're going to have in it. And then he spent a week working on it. And yeah, tomorrow, gonna get it done. All these springs just refuse to separate. If I just drop them on the table, they seem to go. The tattoo artist? He's nuts, you're saying? Does awesome work, yeah. Yeah, I've been waiting several years to get this tattoo done. I hadn't looked into it a lot, to be honest, but every time I had looked into it, I just couldn't find an artist that really did the style of art that I was looking for, because it's all line art, the tattoo that I'm getting. It's basically like a Star Wars version of an existing line art art piece. I'll bring up the Pinterest image once I'm done with this one. Can I recommend any linear switches that are available within the next couple of months? Premium or entry level or mid tier or just ones I recommend? Elaborate. Primo? I'm a big fan of Gap Black inks. Honestly, I can't go past a black inky boy. I love the way they sound, I love the way they feel. They're not cheap, but they're readily available so often that, for me, if you want to have consistency between your boards, it's much easier to have Gap Black inks on everything than it is to have something else, unless you know what the switch is that you want, say tangerines, and you buy enough to cover all your boards all at once. Which I'm not the kind of person to do that. Spring swap black Gat inks with 65 grams. So black inks are 60 gram already, so you're adding 5 gram? Is it a progressive spring? Like, are you changing the spring properties or just the weight? The Rotten Mutant Tangerine was a surprisingly good sounding and feeling switch. If you happen to have Gap Black ink stems on hand and the spring out of a Gap Black ink with a tangerine top house. Wait, was it tangerine stem? No, it was Gap Black ink stem, tangerine top house, tangerine spring, milky yellow Gat bottom house. Lubed and filmed. I think that was the Rotten Tangy. I put Gap Black ink springs and stems into a tangerine. Oh no, wait, it was the other way around. Oh, thank you, Lightning Keyboards. Welcome to the channel. Thank you for dropping by. As I was just saying, what was I just saying? That's right. I put Gap Black ink housings around tangerine springs and stems. We called it the Neo, or the Matrix, if you will. Because what do you get with a green stem in a black housing? Thank you for the follow, Import Shark 80. You get a heart, everybody gets one. You might notice that the sub emotes are big heart artisan keycaps. That is intentional. Thank you for the follow, Lightning Keyboards. Much appreciated. You get a heart, everybody gets one. Thank you, Milk Manu. You get a heart, everybody gets one. I should do what Alex Otos does and record myself saying that, but then do it as well. Thank you for the follow. Lana likes thick. I'm like beating the alert box. If you're wondering what we're doing, we are spring swapping and filming my Zilents because I need to get the springs out of them for another build, and because I discovered that lighter springs and films make your Zilents even quieter. They kind of, well, not necessarily quieter, they give them a better sound profile for what I'm looking for. If you're new here, we have a dog cam and a cat cam. Dog cam is a bit wonk at the moment, but does the job. My Switch opener broke on the last stream, so I'm waiting for the Nutcracker V2 to come out at Daily Clack. And then I will be done with the tweezers for now. Yeah, exactly, Redison. Waiting on the juicy Nutcracker V2. How is everybody going today? Having a lovely Sunday or Saturday, depending on where you are. Good morning, good evening, and good night. If you're wondering, these Zilents are already lubed. Once I'm done spring swapping these Zilents, I'll do a quick little typing test and then I'll finish building the Discipad. Oh, thank you for the cheer. Rad Eats. Much appreciated. Much appreciated. I'm going to start doing bits-based interactivity for the viewers. You know, running polls and that kind of stuff. Maybe make me do things. I don't know. Narrate some text or sing some text or something. Not yet, though. Not today. It's always really surprising when you're sitting there with 8 people in your channel and then suddenly there's 80. Always has that element of shock to it. If you're wondering about the music that we're listening to Harris Heller's Stream Beats on Spotify, which is a royalty-free playlist for streamers to use while streaming. They just released 18 hours ago a new album. They release a new album almost every week. Oh, I missed a follow. Thank you, Dutch Master W. Or unless your name's been cut off. Potentially been cut off. But thank you, Dutch Master. As I was saying, if you're a streamer or a YouTuber or you just need some copyright-free beats, royalty-free beats, or you just like the beats, you can check out Stream Beats on Spotify. Fully sounded like a paid promo. If you like the tunes, you can now go onto Spotify and listen to Stream Beats by Harris Heller. Promotion paid for by Harris Heller. No, actually, I actually probably have to say that it's not. I just really like the beats and really love the fact that it's free. I think this is the third time I've been raided in the last week. I got a host and a raid on top of each other last week. And then this one from Lightning Keyboards. Super appreciated. Oh, almost forgot to film that one. Daily Clack is restocking the Nutcracker V2. Confirmed. It's just the good old soon TM. Oh, what happened to this one? Something's clearly not put on right. I'm betting it's the film. Haha, there we go. Thank you for the follow. You like it? Do you? Like it? Oh, thank you for the follow, Ghost Grixley. Appreciate it. Hope everybody's having a fantastic day. Or night. I'm looking forward to taking this little munchkin over here out for a walk after the stream. Yay! Yay! Hey! Good night, Niv180. Thanks for dropping by. Where are some good places to get 62G springs with decent shipping to the US? Unfortunately, I can't tell you because I'm from Australia, so I don't really know about shipping to the US or who would have springs in your locale. I think TX Keyboards is Malaysian or Korean, Vietnamese, maybe Vietnamese. But TX springs have always been the recommended that people have always suggested. Yeah, there you go. So TX Keyboards, is TX Keyboards American? Oh, Korean, okay. Shipping might be okay though. Looks like there's people in chat who have got your back, so I'll leave it up to them. Nice, so now I know USTX keyboards, good place to order for US. Good stuff. Tell you what, we've been getting absolutely wrecked with conversion fees lately. Didn't realize how much money I was losing just from how bad the Australian dollar is at the moment, and transfer fees on PayPal I just was not aware I was paying. Getting absolutely rickrolled. Treats for the pet. Always got to remember to stretch your hands out after you've been sitting at the computer for a while. Ah, novelties do their own springs? Do they do their own springs, or do they just source them for people? Novelkeys is in America, I'm pretty sure, so if you can get stuff from Novelkeys, why not just go through them? I didn't even think of that, actually. Fully spaced. Fully spaced, man. The leaf is broken? On one of the ones I did before? Or was that unrelated? I saw Ghost Grixley say the leaf is broken, and now I'm concerned that there's a switch in there with a busted leaf. But I also find that it would be really hard for you to see that on the stream, so I'm guessing it's probably not related. Even if it is, that's alright. I'll go back and fix it later. Once I discover which one it is. If any. Ah, yeah, Sprit Springs are good ones to go with, aren't they? I haven't done a whole ton of spring swapping. Most of the time when I'm doing spring swapping, it's between two switches. So I haven't really thought about getting springs from anywhere or what springs are good springs to get. The only switch I've ever noticed that I really, really didn't like the spring is Zilents. Yeah, I'd say they probably source them, right? I wouldn't think they make them. Oh, it's funny, everybody came into the channel after I did the walk around of the Star Wars stuff with the camera. Would have been better to do it now, but I'm not going to subject 50 of you to that slideshow camera action. Ah, thank you for the follow, Lizard Czar. That is not a Romac, although I do really like the Romac macro pad. This is a Discipad. Manual focus, because the autofocus box is annoying. We're going to build a black one of these once I'm done with the Zilents. Rah! Where from? Most of the time you buy them from people in the community who want one for themselves. So they run a purchase of a bunch of them. That's how I got mine. I just got it through someone in the community. I actually got 4 of them. I got that one, this one, and then 2 more in a drawer that I have for 2 friends. So I might have snapped up all the ones in the Oz community at the moment. But usually the runs are 10 to 15 PCBs, so if you go on Snag Keys Discord, if you're in the Australian community, you can go on any of the Australian Discords and just post in the want to buy section Discipad kit, and someone will be like, oh, I'm doing a Discipad run next week. Yeah, I feel like the Discipad is a really awesome kit if you want to learn some new techniques other than just basic switch through hole stuff. It does require some slightly more advanced soldering techniques, as well as just generally finer control over your iron, while also doubling as a functional way to house your leftover numpad kit. The Discipad is called the Discipad because it's based off of the Discipline's 65%, which is a keyboard that has the same idea, the exposed PCB stuff. Let me bring up an example. That is a Discipline 65%. Oh, that's a Mysterium 65% actually. That's a Discipline 65% with a premium case. The regular Discipline is actually like this, just sandwich FR4 plates. I really like those designs. Throw on some GMK Boba Fett onto a green one like this, with my Baby Yoda Artisan, and oof. Oof, that's a Slave 1 keyboard. Throw in some of those... Wait, those aren't the right ones. Throw in some of those mossy alpacas. Mossy alpacas in a volcanic green Protozoa Mysterium with GMK Boba Fett and a Baby Yoda Artisan. And some Duroc stabs. Oof, that's gonna be such a good build. Oh, J Master Lock, thank you. Thank you for the follow. You get a heart. Everybody gets one. If any of you aren't already following me, might be a good time to do that if you're interested in seeing me build something like that premium Mysterium, because I actually am in touch with the designer, the owner of Protozoa Studios, and they're going to send me the prototype in July. So I will be building the first premium Mysterium offering live on Twitch sometime during July. And then I think the GB will be live immediately afterwards, so you can basically watch the stream and then go jump on the GB if you like, or go check out the GB. And that is the Protozoa 1 and 2 coming out of Protozoa Studios in London. And if you like prototype builds, I did one last week, maybe a week and a half ago. You can check that out in the VODs or on my YouTube. But always, if you enjoy the content, the best way to stay apprised is to follow. You can check out my socials and stuff down below. I have an Instagram. If you just have a few seconds in the morning or the afternoon and you like to digest some Keeb content, make it so. I've watched so much Next Gen. Oh my god. I just finished my third watch through of Next Gen. And then last night we started our movie marathon of all of the Next Gen movies. And all I can say is, god damn, Sir Patrick Stewart is such a good actor. Macro pad from Keeb.io, 3x3 optional rotaries. Ooh, I'm excited about that. I really like rotaries. I want to build maybe a 3x2 macro with 1x3 rotaries. Something like this, but maybe like 3x3 with some rotaries, or 2x3 with some rotaries, and just lop that off altogether. Rotaries up here. Could use it as a editing pad for changing different values in your Photoshop or in your streaming tool, I don't know. I do, Lizard Tsar. I have played like 7 or 8 different instruments throughout my life, but the one that stuck was guitar. I was showing on the camera earlier, I have a 1990s Millennium Falcon Hasbro playset that my mother converted into a cigar box guitar when I graduated uni. I also have a BC Richards Warlock and an acoustic guitar that I can never remember the name of. I've been playing instruments like the trumpet and drums and keyboard and even the didgeridoo and the bugle when I was in the Army Cadets. I've been playing instruments since I was maybe 7 years old. It's always a big passion of mine. Now it's more of a mindfulness pastime. Play guitar when I want to relax, step away from technology. But I used to play gigs doing Rise Against cover songs and other punk rock type music. Which is a big departure from some of the music I listen to now. You play the baritone and the euphonium? You did in high school? Nice. Yeah, I played the trumpet for maybe 3 years. What was I again? I can't remember what it's called. First trumpet? It was only 2. So it was either first or second. But it was first trumpet. The puppy can see how bright it is outside and she's desperate to go to the park. Maybe that means no Valorant stream today. Keebs only. Anybody here tried the new Valorant ranked mode? It's definitely a lot better than unranked. That is 100% true. I just prefer playing against people who are actually at my skill level. I really don't enjoy being matched up against people that are very clearly more experienced at the Counter-Strike shooting mechanics. I was really into CS back in 1.5, 1.6, like pre-Steam. But never enough to actually get really good at it. The only way to play highly competitive back then was to actually find teams through forums like Cybergamer. Always made things a little bit too challenging for me. Didn't have the time. And yet I played World of Warcraft for 10 years. Hey, Butterfingers. You've got 1,700 hours on CSGO and Valorant is pretty fun. Most people don't know how to play. Taking advantage while you can. Get those high KDAs while you can. Yeah, Lizards are, I think ranked is much better than casual. At least it will get better over time as well as the ranks balance out. At the moment, it is possible for you to be in silver and end up in a game with platinum people, which just is a bit ridiculous. But that'll balance out over time. For the most part, it seems to be a lot more evenly distributed. It's definitely not as common to find someone being carried by a single individual that's just an absolute Terminator. What am I doing, J Master Lock? I'm spring swapping my Zilents because I want them to be a little bit less harsh on the tactility, and reducing the spring weight helps with that. And I'm filming them just to make them a little less crunchy, sort of hide more of the spring sound. And I'm putting these tiny little switch films. I'll bring it even closer for you. These tiny little switch films I'm putting on the bottom housing, between the top and bottom housing. And that seals them up, basically. Reducing tactility with lighter springs. Yeah, I'm just trying to make them, not reducing tactility, I would say, just making the tactility less aggressive. Thank you, Solgiosu. Much appreciated. I'm doing it for multiple reasons. I'm harvesting these springs to put into a different build. I'm also taking them out because I want to put in lighter springs to see how it affects the tactility. And when I trialed it, I liked what I felt, so I'm going to go all the way. Live with it for a few weeks and see how much of a difference it makes. Thank you, Solgiosu, for the raid. Much appreciated that you chose me. Hope you're all having a lovely day. Wave. Yeah, so basically the reason that I'm spring swapping is because reducing the weight of a Zilios doesn't necessarily change the tactility, but the perceived aggressiveness of the tactility, I suppose you could say, is less. Because the weight is less, you don't have to force it as much to get over that actuation bump. And so you still very distinctly feel the hard, I guess, rigid Zilios bump that they're known for. But it's just a little bit easier to type on. Because I personally find the Zilios bump with a 67 gram spring or higher kind of gets in the way a little bit. On Gap Black inks or yellow inks or something, it's not unusual to get 130 words per minute, but my Zilents, they always seem to get in the way. Sometimes I'll hit high 90s because I miss characters, or yeah, usually it's just missed characters. I think I've actuated and then it hasn't actuated. I'm not, like I said, I'm not trying to alter the tactileness. I'm changing the perceived tactility by reducing the weight. I can still feel the tactility. I understand what you're saying. As you increase the weight, the counter between the pressure created by the stem legs and the weight meet or converge, which is supposed to give you the perception of less tactility. I get what you're saying. What I'm saying is that I want a lighter switch so that the weight of the switch combined with the tactility isn't getting in the way. There's definitely a way that you can talk to someone and a way that you can... Well, let me continue. There's a way that you can talk to someone in a way that you're having a conversation with them, and there's a way where you're just impressing your opinions on them. If you want to talk to me about why you think I might be wrong, that's perfectly fine. Accusing someone of spinning bullshit? I don't know. Yeah, I'm almost certain that I did say before that it wouldn't be changing the harshness of the tactility. You wouldn't be reducing the strength of the bump. I did say that. You're saying that increasing the spring weight will reduce the harshness of the tactility? You'll end up with a holy panda roundness by increasing the spring weight? It'll be less noticeable because it won't go tsh and fire off over the bump. Yes, and that's why I said the perceived... I was trying to find the right wording. I'll happily go back and watch what I said afterwards. Very clearly could have been miscommunication. Oftentimes when you're streaming, it's very difficult to focus on both what you're doing and the stream chat, answering someone's question, and then also dealing with someone firing off accusations of spouting shit. A thing you can do to reduce the tactility is lube the leg stems, which I've also done. Yeah, like I said, I was struggling to find the wording. I was trying to express that I find 67 gram Zilents get in the way of typing. I'm reducing the spring to see if my missed actuations, because I think that I've actuated and I haven't because I'm typing too fast. Reducing the spring weight will hopefully solve that. Oh, thank you for the follow, Samo. Much appreciated. You get a heart. Everybody gets one. And the words that I chose to use at the time that you happen to be listening was trying to reduce the perceived tactility. I'm glad you're here to clear anything up. I guess what you could say is that the harshness of the stock Zilio spring and the rigidness, the sharpness of the tactile bump, I'm trying to make that get in the way of my typing less. By lubing the legs, reducing the spring weight, and filming the housing to try and reduce the sound a little bit. My posture was already fantastic. I apologize. Here, I'll slump over, and then I'll check it again. Yes, the tactile bump is not always at the actuation point. That is true. Which would be part of the problem. You can actuate a Zilio switch. Well, you can roll over the bump, and then just before it actuates, you let go. It's a tiny, tiny distance, though. Why did I use the word tactility? Because I've had issues sleeping lately and I'm exhausted. But I'm deciding to persevere and stream anyway because I believe in being consistent. And I happen to use the wrong word, explaining it incorrectly. I appreciate you correcting me so that people aren't getting the wrong idea and then reducing spring weight to try and make the bump less noticeable. Because that isn't what I was trying to say, even if that is what I was saying. I'd like to think that the people who come into this channel can at least appreciate that sometimes people make a mistake. I do bottom out the switches. But that's what I mean, like the sharpness of the bump. So this is what I was trying to explain. The sharpness of the bump and the weight of the spring, as well as a many array of other factors, but specifically those two, makes Zilents in particular have a higher tendency to not actuate for me with the way that I type. I don't have that issue across any other switch, any other tactile, linear, or clicky switch. Specifically Zilents, which happen to be regarded as the sharpest tactile bump on the market. I did say that I bottom out most of the time. I don't, however, bottom out all of the time. And when I'm typing very fast, 130 words per minute or faster, this particular switch, these particular switches, I have found I make way more... I miss more characters than I think. Well, yeah, I miss more characters, basically is all I'm saying. So in an attempt to solve that problem, I'm spring swapping them to see if making them lighter, while not reducing the tactility, will make them actuate more. It won't resist my fingers as much. Yeah, I think calling out BS is fine if someone's like genuinely trying to lead someone astray. That's BS. It's not... Is it BS when... I would argue that the tactility of the heavier spring is way, way, way more noticeable, but I do know what you're talking about, and I do agree with you. That is the way that all of the, that is the general consensus. Heavier spring reduces the tactility, it makes sense. It resists against the tactile bump. You roll over it, and you're not immediately dropping down into the spring. But also the weight of the spring, that can't necessarily be true in all cases, because you have different spring properties, right? You have slow curve, progressive, linear. So changing the weight of the spring, what, the weight at actuation, the weight at bottom out, like it's just saying straight heavier springs, therefore more tactile. I don't even agree with, even though I agree with what you're saying and where you're coming from. Stock spring, light spring. This one, takes much more force to actually actuate, and I would say the tactility feels more noticeable. Because of that, it feels more like thunk, you're rolling over it, but this one's more like a box royal in the sense that there's a click when you're going down. This one's more of a like a, and then it kicks you back out. It's more about the words and stuff, Chili. Like, you've mentioned several times, I eventually agreed with you. It seems very much about being right. You keep saying BS. It's alright, man. It's chill here. Don't be so defensive, man. You're gonna call BS out. Sometimes people are gonna try and like fire up. I try to just take everything in stride. Have you ever been so tired that you call your pet by the wrong name, like call your dog by the cat's name or the cat by the dog's name? You ever been called your brother's name or your sister's name? Yeah, our dog's name is Kira and our cat's name is Mara. Makes things super confusing. You've been called the dog's name? Imagine if your dog had the same name as you. Now, I don't want to lose the weight of my... Like, I suppose I could all just go the same weight. Sure, why not? That's alright, Soul. It's the internet. Everyone has a cause. Everyone wants to be heard. Heavier spring to the side. 2 hours and a half. Is there a command that I can do? What time zone am I in? Is that what the... Ah, right, okay. I'm in GMT plus 10. Melbourne, Australia. It's tempting to just like drop misc incorrect things and then correct myself 5 minutes later. Just to like weed out the people that really, really, really don't get the no chill idea. Just a catalogue of falsely incorrect things to say. If you lube the legs on your tactile stems, it'll actually make them more tactile. It's actually better for your wrists if you don't float your hands. Dielectric grease. You should actually just submerge your keyboard inside the kind of oil that they use to make fish tank computers. You know, those computers that look like there's fish in them, little fake robot fish, and it looks like it's water, but it's actually oil. Yeah, if you just submerge your keyboard in that oil, it's actually the greatest way to achieve maximum tactility. Thank you for the follow, SM Keyboards. Much appreciated. Yeah, it's top quality keks here all day, every day. Yeah, I actually think that you should buy Holy Pandas and put cherry brown stems in them. I've heard that makes the like god tier Holy Panda stem switch. Sorry. Do I make custom USB cables to go with my keyboards? I currently have 3 colorways that I can produce custom cables in. I have done giveaways for 3 custom cables. Speaking of which, I'm going to do a custom cable giveaway for the first 100 subs. So if you're one of the first 100 subs, you will get in the draw. It's basically a ticket, right? In the draw for a custom cable. But also, everyone who is watching the stream when I tick over to 1,000 followers, there'll be 1 custom cable for anyone watching that stream. And yes, I am going to go to the Melbourne meet. I go to the Melbourne meet every year. Well, I say every year, but I think there's only been 2, and I've only been to 1, so I went to 1 last year. Oh, bullshit, he said he went to 2, but he only went to 1. Oh, crap. Yeah, that's the heavy spring. It's got more space. Have I been to New Zealand? Of course. False news stream, unsubbing. Yeah, only false news here. Not fake news, false news. It's where you accidentally say the wrong thing and then correct yourself later after being called out. False news. Fake news is when the person reporting is so blatantly out of the loop they don't even know that what they're saying is wrong. Yeah, I'll do a type test with the Zilents afterwards and show you, they're actually like less silent. Like, I don't know, it's weird. It just, ooh. Investigation time. This one's a bit loud. Yeah, it makes them like less Zilent-y sounding. Just changes the sound profile. It'll be interesting. I'm keen to see on a whole board. I I think I answered yes, I have been to New Zealand. Not to the New Zealand meetup. Oh, there's a New Zealand meetup! If you're from New Zealand, you should follow Epsilon Keyboards. There is a New Zealand meetup sometime in the next couple of weeks. 22nd of July, maybe? For the NZ meetup in Auckland? 18th of July. Boom. Oh, Gok. Hey, Gok. How you doing, mate? How's the old 7V? I'm just gonna guess that there isn't more than one Gok, although there probably is more than one Gok. That is a low-key case. It's a low-key V1. I bought it immediately after the 2018 meetup. 2018? Maybe 2019. It was very early. It was very early low-key designs. I'm actually working with low-key keyboards and Laneware, the creators of the Raindrop. We're going to see if we can put together our own mini 1800, possibly. Not 100% on the layout just yet. But the idea is we want to collaborate together, and we're going to tinker and see what we can come up with. Maybe do a premium case offering and a low-key keyboard case offering. Both premium, just one is, I guess, premium priced case, and then a low-key keyboard case. Which, by the way, I highly suggest these as being very, very good value. Tam does good work. Thank you. If you like the dog, the sub emotes are actually, there's 2 of Kira and 2 of Mara, who's hiding at the moment. Usually the cat's there. Ugh, all that oil. Ugh. Now I'm going to wash my hands before I touch my GMK keycaps, because they look like you've just eaten pizza if you lube and then touch keycaps. Give me a couple minutes, I'll be right back, and then we'll do a little sound test. If you're willing to spend 300 on a stacked acrylic case with etched anime, save up some more and get a custom with an actual design. Yeah, I can understand where that sentiment comes from, but it's not very often that you get an aluminium case or a premium case with a design that you chose, an artwork, and a piece of art that you chose. Can you just laser etch an aluminium keyboard? Will it look okay? I have no idea. Would it have a Triforce exposed through to the plate? I don't know. I think there's reasons why you would get this. Plus, I picked mine up for less than that because, like I said, it was very early days. You could also design and make one of these yourself, I guess, if you have access to a laser or a maker studio. Oh crap! I already got oil on them. You're joking. I'm gonna have to wash these keycaps. Lucky they're my like. These are my beat 'em up keycaps. Once GMK Hero goes on this, yes, I did get GMK Hero. I got GMK Hero novelties and the base kit, and I ordered 4 custom artisans. One is a Triforce, and the other 3 are the Ocarina of Time gems, made by the person who made these. Sorry. The koi fish, you'll have to excuse the camera wobbling around. The koi fish and the 2 plant scenes is basically going to be a Triforce and the Ocarina of Time gems submerged in resin and done in green to go with the GMK Hero. Oh, thanks for the follow, Spanky058. Yeah, so an interesting, it might be, maybe it's the length of the springs, actually. Ah, maybe that's it. Swapping out the springs for TX springs seems to basically remove that, like, muffled bottom out, that really, like, puffy bottom out. Very cool keycaps. Which ones are the cool keycaps? Oh, those ones, right. I was like, what? The dog and the cat have decided to chase each other again. Oh, so I did have the 78 gram Zilents on these 3 because I tend to hit really hard. Sorry, on the enter, the backspace, and the spacebar. But we've just spring swapped all of them, and I've got those 3 individual 78 gram springs sitting by themselves over to the side, and then the rest of the springs here. I'll be moving them into different. And I touched the lube again. God damn it. I'll be moving those into different switches. Yeah, that's what I was trying to say before, is the TX springs seem to kind of remove the silencing feature of the Zilent, which is weird because the silencing on those on the slider is just like a silicon or something like that, some kind of rubber vibration absorbing pad on the bottom of the and top of the stem feet, stem arms, stem legs, sliders. But for some reason now there's a bottom out sound when you change the spring. So I might pull them apart and try to get a better look as to why that is. Because you can actually hear it, right? They're all clacky now. But the spacebar, obviously, going to be extra clacky. Which is fine for me because I actually don't really like silent switches anymore. And the team that I work in at my office have cherry blues in their keyboards, so they don't care about noise. Where'd the music go? What's happening? Ah, that's right. One of the songs on the Stream Beats playlist on Spotify has like a 45-second silent ending. Ah, 65. It's home and page up, page down. I hope. That looks right. That looks right. That looks right. I'm actually excited now. I haven't used this keyboard in ages because I really was not happy with the Zilents. If I've just unzilentified them, that's actually awesome. I'll have to go through and analyze a couple of them potentially, because this B, for example, seems to have maintained its mute, but the other ones did not. I will do the analysis off stream though, because it's time intense. Could take hours, I don't know. Would Keycult 60% PCB work on tofu aluminium 60%? I can't tell you honestly. I don't know the configuration of the Keycult PCB. Maybe someone else in the chat knows. If it says that it's tray mount, then I would assume that it does, that it is compatible. Oh, the cat's decided to join us, and the cat camera has died. It's a frozen image. We'll give it a quick charge and then bring it back. Uses the daughter board? There you go. Yeah, if it uses one of Wilbur's, yeah, okay, cool. There you go. So the tofu aluminium 60% case is a tray mount, right? So it has to be Poker compatible or and Pro compatible. If I can offer some advice, I would suggest that if you're looking at entry... Are you looking at entry-level keyboards? Is that sort of what you're thinking? Entry premium? Because if you're looking at entry-level keyboards, the NK65 is coming out. Oh, WT60C Kate edition. Is that tray? Tray mount compatible? At some point I need to do a full teardown of this keyboard and just clean it. Clean it all. This has been my daily driver for a year now. At least, maybe a year and a half. I'll clean it up and then put it on a shelf when Hero arrives. I always find that even after doing this, pushing down every single one, I start typing and I'm like, wow, one of these wasn't all the way down. Some of them are poppier than others. It might be something to do with the film installation. It might be that some of them have caused a little bit of deflection. Might go through and see, because they're not consistently sounding, which I'll bring the mic down and show you. So I guess of the swaps that I've done with films and springs and stems and stuff, Zilents continue to be the most temperamental to modifying. Oh, hey, Alex Otos, how you doing, man? I love that you've got the first little sub thing next to your name, so every time you come into the chat, it's going to be like, hey, man, you were there early. Thanks for being an early supporter, man. Appreciate it, dude. We have just spring swapped my Zilents 67 grams with 45G TX springs. Threw on some TX films. Previously lubed with 205GO. I wanted to see if I could maybe make the... I was having problems with missing actuations. I was thinking it might be spring weight, and so I thought that I would play around with the tactility a little bit, drop the spring weight down, lube it, all that kind of stuff. And I must say, despite the disagreement I had with someone in the chat earlier, I actually think this is much less tactile. Even though the common consensus is heavier springs reduce tactility, lighter springs increase the tactility, I think that the significant drop in weight, 22 gram drop in weight, yeah, it feels way less tactile. It's not like you're forcing down and then bah, just bangs down into the base of the keyboard. So, like, despite the disagreement that I had, I think actually what I was saying in my sleep-deprived, addled conversation about lighter springs being more tactile, while the general consensus might be that that is incorrect, in this case it feels that way. It feels like a lighter spring has reduced the tactility. I think if I was to sit here side by side and go, I think that the downstroke tactility is greater above, like, once you roll over, there's no resistance, so it's like, it's hard to describe. I guess it's perception, depends on how fast you type. Typing at speed, which was what I was saying all along, typing at speed feels much better. The tactile bump doesn't get in the way anymore. Whether that's the tactile bump or the weight of the spring, the resistance of the spring, it Feels less tactile. Hopefully the problem is solved. And just because I'm a scumbag, Box Royal on the escape key. So loud. Box Royal. Zilent TX 45 gram. TX 45 gram Zilent spacebar. It's like a quiet tactile, not a silent tactile, which is kind of like what I was after, right? I wanted something that didn't piss off the neighbors, so to speak, but I don't really like that. I don't like the crunchy sound of a Zilent. So I think this is probably closer to a T1 now, I'm guessing. T1s are like halfway between a Holy Panda and a Zilent, right? Let's give you a little closer sound test. Weirdly, that might be the stabs, actually. That might be the hectic, thick dielectric greasing on the stabs, making those a little bit meatier. Yeah, it's weird. It's like... Like I said, there's also inconsistencies. I feel like Zilents just don't like to be fucked with. But I'm gonna go through and tweak things a little bit off stream. I'll pull out any ones that are particularly clacky. Like that sucker. I'll see if potentially the film is deflected, caused that inconsistency. But already just from feeling it, yeah, that's what I wanted. This is exactly what I wanted. So if you happen to be a Zilent owner or a Zilios owner, and you find that the weight of the springs or maybe the tactility is a little bit snappy for you, throw in some lighter springs. The tactility won't change as much, but the perceived tactility. Words are hard. How do you convey an idea? The sharpness of the tactility feels more or less the same, but the reduced weight makes it much easier to roll over and move through to the actuation point. Yeah, it's like the harder you type, the louder they get. For example. It's like, if you type soft enough, it's just that it's the same old Zilent sound, but if you go all the way down, it's like almost a T1. It's not plugged in, but I'll just pretend that I'm typing into something. And the light goes out right on time. I don't know if any of you watch Alex Otos' stream, I don't know if it's a new thing or it was just yesterday, but he uses a really cool new feature that I think I might have to steal once I start using Facecam. It's like change the angle and zoom in on each click. Oh my god, oh man, I'm so glad you're still here. Love it. It was so good. It's just like anytime someone asks you a question, you just need to give them that like really intense answer. Perfect. I loved it. Made me laugh real hard. Cool. Well, messing around with the Zilents took way longer than I thought it was going to. I was going to crack on through this Discipad, but it's a nice sunny day and I don't want to miss that, and I don't think my dog does either. So I might do this on the Wednesday stream, take the puppy out for a walk to the park. Should figure out how to stream from my phone and just like take a Keeb and the dog and my phone to the park. Like sound tests in the park with the dog running around in the background. That would be such a horrible stream to watch. Oh god, the wind. Yeah, 100%. I totally agree, Cujo AU. I got these islands were the first. I went heavy in straight away. I was like, I want a silent work keyboard, QMK, I'm gonna get a Tofu 60. I'm like, yeah, it's gonna be amazing. I'm gonna spend hundreds of dollars. It's gonna be dope. And then I built it and typed with it and was like, I think I loved it at first. I was like, oh my god, this is the best thing ever. And then as I tried more and more keyboards, I was like, why am I paying 18 AU per 10 pack for this? Yep. I actually have a bag of U4 stems and the Otemu top and bottom housings and all that jazz sitting in a box behind me. I would agree. Yeah, if I could go back in time, I probably wouldn't have bought the Zilent V2s. But it has been fun, and now I can say that I have the experience, and at least now when people try to commission builds from me, I can say, oh, bro, no, maybe you should just get a T1 with a U4 stem. Or just don't go silent. Just get a good keyboard with gasket mounting or some other solution. Lube the stabs so that the main culprit of noise is not a problem. And then just get a decent sounding tactile. Film it, lube it, whatever you got to do to bring the dBs down. Alright, so done with that for now. I can go back on the shelf. That'll wrap it up for me. It's been 3 hours, almost 3 hours. Oh, 3 hours and 10 minutes. Ah, thank you for the follow, Otis. Much appreciated. You get a heart, everybody gets one. Anyway, as I was saying, the main culprit of noise. Oh, I was just saying that, personally for me, one of the big annoyances with noise from a keyboard is the stabs, the spacebar. When someone's typing at work, it's, I mean, unless they're using Cherry Blues or something, it's not necessarily the typing sounds that are annoying. It's that chunk, 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 chunk. That's what really, like, penetrates into my brain when I'm trying to think about code. So for me, just a good sounding linear or a good sounding tactile that has a lower register, so like not a novel key cream, for example, something like a Gap Black ink with a nice heavy keyboard, brass plate, gasket mounting. You don't even need to put foam inside the keyboard at that point. Thick keycaps. And then you've got a quiet keyboard. Obviously lubing the stabs. I just feel like silent switches aren't as... They're not silent. Like, they make noise. And for me personally, it's a noise that I find less desirable to hear. Yeah, even lubing the Zilents doesn't make them, like... I oiled the springs and lubed the stem legs and everything. Yeah, the bottom out and the return are where the silencing characteristics of the silencing stems are anyway. But like lubing them and stuff can help you with the crunch of the spring, and the crunch of the spring was really what killed me. I haven't tried a silent linear. Maybe that's what I'll do next. Oh, right, yeah, Cujo, yeah. Yeah, but you get some Gap Black inks, you lube them, you don't even need to film them. I have heard some silent switches on videos that are just really quiet. And I feel like the price you pay for that quietness has to be the bottom out, right? Like the softness of the bottom out. Personally, I prefer a sharp bottom out. I don't really... Like, I've had my HHKB for ages, and I do like typing on it. But the softness of the bottom out, it just... I always notice it. With the macro pads on the left, when you solder in the diodes and resistors and all, are you soldering from the top where pins go through, or soldering the underside, then clipping the leads? I actually... It's funny that you ask. I showed... There's two ways that you can do it, or someone might correct me. Okay? Someone might say, no, don't do it that way. Please correct me if you have that opinion. Let me try and show... I'm going to turn the autofocus on just for a moment. Okay, cool. So, this top row... This top row, I tacked it from the top, and then clipped, and then soldered from the bottom. This row, I only soldered from the bottom, and then I clipped. So this is me tacking from the top, and then soldering, tacking from the top, clipping the legs, and then soldering from the bottom. This is me just soldering from the bottom, and then clipping the legs. Personally, I prefer to do it this way. It takes you just a fraction of a bit more time, but it also means that you can ensure that all of the diodes are flush, because they're, you know, going down into the holes rather than, like, up. Yeah, so for me, I prefer to do, you tack it like a spot weld, and then you go across and you clip them all. They're all held in from the top, solder from the bottom. Bob's your uncle. Nice clean welds. Yeah, thank you. So that's... I only did the bottom row this way because someone asked me. They were like, whoa, I've never seen someone do that. That's so weird. Are you supposed to do that? And I just said, like, if you're worried about the components, use a heatsink. You know, go away, tracking thing. I was saying, if you're worried about the components, you can use a heatsink or something. Like, anything that can make contact with the components and absorb heat is going to act like a heatsink. But ultimately, I prefer clean joints. I prefer clean welds. And I took the hit to show them the difference between doing the top weld first. Because and now I guess it's a good point, is anytime someone asks, they'd be like, well, here's an example of why I suggest you tack the top first. So basically, yeah, I go across and I tack everything on the top, flip it over, clip everything, and then flow the join. That's my tip for getting it clean as possible. Also, you don't have to use pliers or anything to bend the diode legs. If you've got a thumbnail, you can just put your thumbnail as close as possible to the diode and then bend begin the bend, and then you can do it on the other side and then basically hold the diode and the legs will very flushly come together. Sometimes if you use pliers or something, you can sort of bend the legs, like you use too much force and you sort of give them an S shape, which makes putting them in an absolute pain. So you can actually check out the VOD from last week's stream, I think Wednesday stream. I actually did the USB-C port and all the diodes and these resistors. So you can go through and actually watch the explanation there and actually see me doing it. And I will finish this one off on Wednesday this week, Australian time, plus 10 GMT because I'm in Melbourne. So you can see me do the crystal and everything else as well, basically. I also did the USB-C port and intentionally bridged 2 of the pins in the video so that you can see me go back and then wick it to fix it. So this, I kind of started building this as an opportunity to have a video to refer people to if they wanted to ask questions about any of these particular techniques. But I might actually make a YouTube video at some point for that. We'll see. Depends how time goes, I suppose. Yeah, with the USB-C port, you obviously know because you've just mentioned the technique. My advice is less is more. Adding solder is not hard. Taking it away can be painful. So start with a small amount of solder. Just try to drag it across. Keep dragging it across. Don't try for 10 minutes because you'll burn everything to death. But just drag it across a few times. If it gets stuck on the first few, you just sort of keep going. As long as there is still flux there burning, it'll transfer easily. As soon as the flux dissipates, which is very quickly, then you'll start having trouble. So as long as you flux it all, put a little bit of solder on, like basically tin the iron, I suppose, and then just start a little bit more flux, retin the iron. They're very, very small holes. You only really need the solder that's on the iron. Someone might also have an opinion about that. I don't know. But that's the way I've always done it, and it's the way it works for me. $300 I think is good. 300 is safe, 400 is scary. 400 if you're desoldering and you're just bang bang, you're just getting in there really quickly and you need to get it all really hot really fast and then just tear it out. But even then, I think the right way to go is stay low and bring it up. I tend to stay around 320, 330, but that's my iron, my conditions, you know, the thing that I'm working on. And it also depends on the solder that you're using because not all solder melts at the same point, which is why people use lead. I'm fairly sure that leaded solder melts at a lower temperature, which means you're making the sacrifice of potentially a health risk, but protecting the electronics. So as long as you're smart about lead, then you'll be okay. For example, I've got 2 sets of solder here. One of them is really thin, unleaded or thanks for the follow, mostly not. Non-leaded solder, and it just never wants to flow for some reason. Talking about carbon filters, if you have an old PC case fan, you can rip one out of your old PC, go down to JCar or any electronics place and grab yourself some carbon filters. I think it's 10 for $5 or something. Cut the wire, get yourself a 5 volt to 12 volt step up regulator, which I've wired in inside here. And this is essentially, I think this cost me $8. And it works perfectly fine. I mean, if you need more control or you want a big scoop over the top, grab a massive 4-liter ice cream bucket, cut the bottom out, tape it in, and then just mount it above your setup. But I prefer to have it close to the electronics, and then everything just flows straight into it. But yeah, for less than $10, I mean, I try to be frugal when I can, and if it's an opportunity to learn something about electronics, then that's why. They're $60, which I feel is ridiculous for thanks for the follow, Rizio. You get a heart, everybody does. I think it's ridiculous to pay $60 for what is essentially a bit of foam and a fan. Yeah, it just seems. Yeah, I'm happy to pay $700 for a keyboard because it's art. I will not pay $60 for a fan with some foam attached to it. That's my logic. You do no. So PC fans run on 12 volt. If you run a PC fan off 5 volt, it will spin, but it won't generate enough pressure to actually do anything. And if it does, you'll be basically you've struck, like, you're lucky. You're lucky that you got one that can operate at 5 volts, and even then it won't be very efficient. You really need a 12 volt step up regulator. And I say that, check that the fan is a 12 volt fan, because if you pull one out of your PC, it might be a 5 volt. I don't know what CPU fans run at. Oh, I've got to disable the cat cam and restart it. There we go. Cat cam finally, yay! She's decided to grace us with her presence. Yeah, the ugly, the $60 one is ugly AF. The legs and stuff. Yeah, I actually, down in the bottom of the channel, there's a bunch of like Amazon links to the different things that I use. I have linked in there a smoke extractor because I think that it's really important that if you're going to tell people to go buy soldering gear, that you also tell them to get a solution to deal with the carbon. But if you already have gear, build one. If you have gear in a spare PC case, PC fan or something, you can go down to any like secondhand electronics place and they'll have fans just in bins. Plus, if you're already into building electronics and tinkering, building FPV quads and stuff like I am, then this is just makes more sense. You can put that $50 towards a Discipad, which I think these were only like $35 or something. So the money you save from that gets you a Discipad, which you can use to learn a bunch of awesome soldering techniques that you can then go on to use to build big keyboards. So that little bit of frugality can go a long way. I do quads too. Yeah. I need to go offline, but next time I'll bring out a couple of my quads and just line them up while I'm working on the keyboards. And yes, that is why I picked up the TS100, because being able to plug it into a 6S out in the field and repair your drone is a much better day than breaking your drone in the first 5 minutes and then going home after driving 2 hours to get to some scenic view location. Oh, you won something in Mech Merlin's stream? You want a Romeo? Ooh! Alright, let me have a look. Yeah, drone websites because they have nice M2 screws. Yeah, I know. What is this? What is this thing? Romeo for... Ooh. Ooh. That's nice. Yeah, okay, cool. Let me, if you're into that, if you're into Discipad style stuff, discipline style stuff, I'm actually going to be doing the prototype build stream of the Protozoa Studios Protozoa 2, which is the Mysterium TKL premium offering, coming out later this year. I think the GB goes live in July, possibly. But I'll be having the prototype shipped over from London by Protozoa Studios. And we're going to collab. I'll do the stream, answer all your questions. They'll be in the stream to answering questions. If you are someone who would like a premium Discipline Mysterium style keyboard, this is definitely the one to keep your eyes on. It also has, it's funny that you mentioned custom M2 screws or nice M2 screws. This one will have custom M2 screws that say Protozoa. Or M3, or whatever the screws are. It's going to have custom hardware with Protozoa written on it. And then I'll put on the rest of my GMK Boba Fett and my Baby Yoda Artisan. And that's going to be my Slave One. I'm going to not click links while the website is open, just in case, because I need to, yeah, okay, cool. It is actually a keyboard photo and not random NSFW content. That's a nice case. I like the stacked acrylic. I'm building a stacked acrylic discipline on the stream for someone actually in a couple of weeks. So I've got a stacked acrylic discipline build coming up for a client. Protozoa, Mysterium, Premium, prototype build. Finish off the Discipad. Souffle split keyboard. I'm gonna get an NK65. I will own a tower of keyboards in which I will live because I will not be able to afford to buy a house. Yeah, what savings? Alright, I have hung back long enough. Thank you all for coming along. Is there anyone we can raid? Is there a Keeb streamer that we feel like jumping in on? Yeah, just get a house-sized keyboard. Just a building full of electronics with switches covering every wall, the size of your hand. And so you just walk around the house like, hello, how are you? What is for breakfast? Bobby Slays, my only comment on getting creams is that they're loud. They're a much higher register than people think. Ooh, did it a decline? Thanks, Stream Element Bot. If you are enjoying the streams, make sure that you hit follow so that you know when I go live with things like those prototype builds. I also have Instagram, Twitter, and the other things. You should follow me there. If you like Instagram content, you just like digesting good-looking Keebs. Ooh, Gat Ink Silence. I tried some Gat Ink Silence. Honestly, I would just get Gat Ink Blacks. Yeah, anytime you build one of these discipline-style things, make sure you have flux. Flux, solder wick. Rosin core solder is also good. 60-40. Alright, let's have a look at the raid. Let us begin. Oh, okay, actually, we raided someone on Wednesday. His Twitch is called Feedbead. Someone recommended him. He's not a Keeb streamer. He was streaming Smash Brothers at the time. But, hear me out. He's from Italy. He's an opera singer. He came to Australia. Wait, he's from Australia? He's from Australia. He was doing opera training in Italy or something? Or he was supposed to be, and then he got stuck in Australia because of COVID and couldn't get to Italy to do his opera training. And so now he's streaming to try and make ends meet while he waits to make his dream happen of doing opera singing. And he has a lot of really weird stuff on his channel, like you can pay money to spin the wheel and make him eat a McGangbang, which is like 3 McDonald's burgers inside of each other. Which is, it's not necessarily my content, but I appreciate his story and I appreciate what he's trying to do. So, Keeb streamer, how about Dead at a Decline or Feedbead? Dead at a Decline or McGangbangs? Let's go check out Feedbead, and if it's not your thing, go check out Dead at a Decline. Let's just drop in and be like, what's going on, man? Just freak him out for a minute. Because I know that even when he had 15 viewers, he was like, hey, whoa, hey, what's going on? 31 viewers, let's go. Say hey to Feedbead, blow up the chat with the emotes if you're a sub. Peace out. Much love.